Okay.
Morning. When I was 18 months old, I lived in a daycare that's around the corner from Columbus Boulevard, a 4-lane expressway that borders the Delaware River. One day I saw a dog and I decided that I wanted to pet it. My natural response was to follow the dog out of my daycare around the corner and down Columbus Boulevard. While I don't fully remember this experience, as I was less than 2 years old, I have been told that the man who discovered a toddler trailing along behind him after a few blocks returned me safe and sound to the shop daycare staff. I was lucky on my very first excursion into the real world, and I like to think that this experience marks the moment my wanderlust was awakened. Years later, this wanderlust led me to work with elephants and mouse. I went there this summer after my freshman year because I wanted to meet an elephant and hopefully form a relationship with a member of the dying species. I was curious about what people were doing to save elephants and wanted to learn about it firsthand. I come from a long line of global nomads, 3 generations of migrants and refugees on both sides, doctors, diplomats, and servants, warriors and journalists. One thing you learn in a family like mine is that until you've absorbed something through all of your senses, you cannot fully understand the situation and formulate your own opinions. I learned that the sacred role of elephant caretaker is one of the most respected jobs in mouse. The extreme dedication and reciprocal lifelong relationship between an elephant and its mahout is almost like a marriage. After working as a mahout, I realized that this was their form of conservation, and I can honestly say that I never wanted to marry an elephant as much as I did that summer. This experience was more than I could have hoped for. At the ripe age of 14, I not only tasted all the flavors of wild culture, but I also got the opportunity to hike up the Himalayas and visit remote hill tribes in Burma. I entered a world where people have yet to adopt technology, wanting to conserve the way they have been living for thousands of years. It came as a stark contrast to the constant airwaves and buzzing cell phones in the world that I came from. While these peoples were materially poor and malnourished, they were steadfast in wanting to preserve their way of life. My trip to Southeast Asia opened my eyes to the worlds of conservation and service. It stirred my curiosity about where else these two things were necessary and how I could incorporate them into my future. After seeing small children with swelling bellies and contracting tuberculosis myself, I realized that there had to be more that we could do to help them manage hunger and disease than to simply hand out first aid kits and wafers. J.R.R. Tolkien once wrote, "Not all who wander are lost." I like to think that he had all of his roamers in mind. To me, wandering refers to more than just the tangible. Every time you read a really good book and get lost in that world, you're wandering. When you start to gravitate towards a new activity or sport that you've never tried before, you're diverging from your normal, or as I like to call it, you're wandering. Wandering comes with the connotation of not being able to pinpoint where you're going. But isn't that how we find new things? No one ever found where they were going or decided who they wanted to be without falling a bit off the beaten path first, and those who have are the exception. So I believe in wandering. When you take yourself out of your comfort zone, you're bound to discover something about yourself that you never would have otherwise. And I think that digging into the depths of who you are is the only way to really figure out what you want to do in life. Because of my decision to visit Southeast Asia, I discovered what I'd like to do in the future and study for the next 4 years. So don't worry if you feel a little lost at times, because it may just lead you to exactly where you want to be. Thank you.